Did you know that Christianity, a belief that was born on the fringes of society, among the oppressed and forgotten, ended up shaping the foundations of one of the greatest empires in history? Imagine a world where the Roman Empire, with its gods and traditions deeply rooted for centuries, is shaken by a new faith that preaches a single God and challenges the dominant culture. At first, it seemed impossible that such a small and persecuted religion could survive, let alone thrive. But over time, Christianity grew, overcame resistance, and became an integral part of Roman culture and politics. In this video, we will explore how this faith transformed the power and beliefs of Rome, and understand the surprising journey that took Christianity from a marginalized belief to the official religion of the empire. If you are fascinated by history and want to unveil the behind the scenes of the transformations that shaped the ancient world, get ready. This is a journey through the most profound changes in the Roman Empire. Christianity arrived in Rome as a spark of hope introduced among the humblest layers of society. In a city marked by oppression and vast inequality, the promise of eternal salvation and a united community resonated among the marginalized. For many living in poverty and on the fringes of society, the new faith offered a vision of brotherhood and justice that the Roman Empire had never provided. Soon, Christianity found receptive hearts and fervent followers who carried the message of love and solidarity through the streets of the capital. As this faith spread through key Roman cities, something unexpected happened. Christianity began to attract those from more privileged backgrounds as well. Some members of the middle class and even the elite started to see value in the message of spiritual equality and the invitation to compassion and forgiveness. Christianity began to take root in communities, and discreetly, its followers gathered in secret meetings to share their beliefs. Over the years, this clandestine religion became a subtle yet strong presence in neighborhoods throughout the city. However, this expansion did not go unnoticed. As Christianity gained visibility, Roman authorities began to view it with suspicion. The new faith, still without grand temples or opulent rituals, remained discreet, but its growth brought unrest. For the rulers, this monotheistic religion represented a threat, a strange ideology that rejected the worship of the gods of Rome. Nevertheless, the cosmopolitan city of Rome, rich with cultural and religious exchanges, provided fertile ground for the spread of this belief, which began to solidify in the soul of Roman society. With the growth of Christianity, the empire began to see it not just as an uncommon belief, but as a potential threat to the established order. Emperors like Nero feared that Christian monotheism would weaken the veneration of Roman gods, which were essential for the cohesion and legitimacy of imperial power. In a moment of crisis, Nero found in Christians a convenient scapegoat, accusing them of causing the Great Fire of Rome. Thus began one of the first and most brutal campaigns of persecution, casting Christianity into the shadow of fear and repression. However, the effect of the persecutions was not as expected. Instead of silencing the faith, repression increased the strength and cohesion of the Christian community. In prisons and arenas, Christians faced death with a courage that inspired the public, and those who witnessed these martyrdoms often wondered what made these individuals so devoted that they preferred death over renouncing their faith. The blood of the martyrs became the symbol of relentless resistance, and this image solidified the Christian community as a brotherhood, united by something greater than fear itself. To escape persecution, Christians began to meet in secret places, such as the catacombs, where they could honor their dead and share their faith without fear of reprisals. This network of clandestine locations transformed into a bond of resistance, where Christians reaffirmed their commitment and kept the flame of their faith alive. Paradoxically, repression served to consolidate Christian identity, forming a resilient community determined to preserve its beliefs. Christians did not merely resist. They prepared to face new challenges that would forever transform the empire. In an empire where gods abounded and every aspect of life was honored with a specific cult, the idea of a single god was something revolutionary and deeply disturbing. For many Romans, Christianity brought a striking contrast to Roman polytheism, preaching an exclusive God who, for Christians, was the only one worthy of worship. This new belief challenged the very essence of Roman identity and the foundations of its culture, creating a point of tension that would echo through the centuries. Beyond the belief in a single God, Christianity introduced values that destabilized the established social order. In a deeply hierarchical society, the Christian idea of spiritual equality among all human beings, regardless of position or wealth, was viewed with suspicion by the Roman elite. For the powerful, this doctrine seemed subversive, threatening the social structure that supported the empire. Christianity, by preaching the dignity of each individual, offered an alternative that questioned the rigid divisions and inequalities of Roman society. The exclusivity of Christianity, which rejected the worship of Roman gods and participation in public rituals, created increasing friction between Christians and the state. Polytheism was seen as a unifying element, essential for Rome's cultural and political identity, while Christianity seemed to separate its followers from the larger community. Over time, this tension only escalated, causing many Romans to view Christians not only as a religious threat, but also as a threat to the unity and stability of the empire. The seed of a conflict was planted that would inevitably grow into something much larger. The persecutions intended to extinguish Christianity, ironically, ended up strengthening it. With each public execution, far from intimidating followers, admiration for the martyrs grew as they faced death with unwavering faith. For the Roman people, accustomed to seeing courage in battles, the Christians' willingness to sacrifice their lives for their beliefs represented a new form of heroism. Martyrdom thus became not only a symbol of devotion, but also a powerful tool for expansion, inspiring new followers and consolidating the image of Christianity as a cause worth fighting for. Martyrdom had a profound and unexpected effect. It attracted people from all classes and backgrounds who saw in these martyrs an example of a faith capable of challenging even the power of the empire. Instead of ending Christianity, the deaths of its followers reinforced the commitment of Christians, generating empathy and admiration. Each martyr who joined this lineage of courage solidified the Christian presence even further, making Christianity not just a religion but an inspiration and a movement of resistance. This phenomenon transformed Christianity into a morally elevated movement that attracted followers due to the purity of its cause. In a society that exalted physical strength and conquest, Christians introduced a new idea of heroism, marked by resilience and faith. Martyrdom became the foundation for a united and strengthened community, and the more the empire tried to weaken this faith, the more it became entrenched. Instead of silencing Christians, martyrdom merely paved the way for a future where the Christian faith would face imperial power on equal footing. In a decisive attempt to restore the religious unity of the empire, Emperor Decius issued a decree in the year 249 AD that required all citizens to offer sacrifices to the Roman gods. For Christians, however, this demand was unacceptable, as it violated the exclusivity of their faith. This decree triggered one of the most brutal persecutions ever witnessed, leading to a period of suffering and resistance for the Christian community, which faced one of the most intense challenges in its history. The consequences of the edict were devastating. Those who refused to worship the Roman gods were subjected to imprisonment, torture, and even execution. However, this violence had an effect contrary to what the emperor expected. Instead of annihilating the faith, repression further consolidated Christian identity and the determination of the faithful to remain steadfast in their beliefs. The sacrifice of each Christian not only reaffirmed the community's commitment to its faith, but also inspired an increasing number of sympathizers for whom the courage of the persecuted was a symbol of resistance and spiritual dignity. This wave of persecutions also had a profound impact on the structure of Christianity. With the increase in threats, Christians organized themselves more systematically, forming support networks that strengthened the internal cohesion of the church. Bishops and local leaders played a crucial role, helping the faithful remain united in the face of adversity. Instead of weakening, Christianity emerged from this period of oppression with a solid foundation and a more resilient structure, prepared to face future challenges and eventually influence the very destiny of the empire. In the year 312 AD, the Battle of the Milvian Bridge marked a decisive turning point for both Christianity and the Roman Empire. Constantine, then in conflict for power, reportedly had a vision of the cross just before the battle, interpreting it as a sign that the God of Christians was on his side. Convinced that his victory depended on this faith, Constantine ordered his soldiers to march under the symbol of the cross, a decision that would alter the course of Roman history and solidify his alliance with Christianity. Constantine's victory not only secured his position as leader of the empire, but also symbolized an alliance between military power and the Christian faith. This victory, interpreted as a divine blessing, led Constantine to view Christianity not as a marginalized religion, but as a pillar of strength and legitimacy. From then on, he began to favor Christianity in his policies, gradually breaking away from the polytheistic tradition and bringing the new faith to the center of imperial power. This shift had profound and lasting implications for Christianity. For the first time, the religion that had been persecuted for centuries gained the support of an emperor. Constantine saw Christianity as a strategic ally to unify the empire under a new spiritual foundation, turning this faith into an emerging force protected and promoted by imperial authority. Constantine's vision and his victory at the Milvian Bridge laid the foundations for a new era, in which Christianity would not only coexist, but shape the future of the empire. In 313 AD, the Edict of Milan marked one of the most revolutionary moments in the history of Christianity and the Roman Empire. Constantine, now allied with Licinius, decreed religious freedom across the empire, allowing Christians to practice their faith without fear of reprisals. This act gave followers of Christ the chance to emerge from the shadows and become a legitimate part of Roman society. The Edict of Milan represented the end of systematic persecutions and the beginning of a new era of tolerance and growth for Christianity. The promulgation of the edict brought relief to a community that had lived in secrecy for centuries, fearing for their very lives. With religious freedom, Christians were able to organize openly, build places of worship, and expand their support networks. This new environment allowed Christianity to flourish, and for the first time, churches began to visibly emerge in Roman cities, bringing new vitality to the faith. Legalization also attracted more and more followers, who could now embrace Christianity without fear of retaliation. This moment of freedom transformed Christianity into a growing and respected cultural force. With the legitimacy granted by the Edict of Milan, the Christian faith drew ever closer to the heart of Roman power, especially due to the direct support of Constantine. Although polytheism still persisted, the legalization allowed Christianity to transition from a clandestine faith to an ascendant religion. This was only the beginning of a monumental change, which would soon see Christianity occupy a central place in the empire. After the legalization of Christianity, Constantine not only allowed the faith to develop freely, but also took an active role in its support and growth. Using imperial resources, he funded the construction of churches throughout the empire, including the famous Basilica of St. Peter in Rome. These grand temples transformed Christian practice, providing imposing locations for followers to gather and celebrate their faith. The emergence of monumental Christian architecture symbolized a new era for Christianity, which was moving away from being a religion of catacombs and clandestine meetings. Constantine also sought to strengthen the internal organization of the church, promoting the role of bishops and encouraging cohesive and structured leadership. He recognized Christianity as a unifying force in the vast and multicultural empire, and saw the church as a strategic ally to consolidate his own power. This official support gave the church a position of respect and influence, facilitating its integration with the Roman political structures. The alliance between Constantine and the church began to transform Christianity into an institution with social and political weight. Constantine's patronage had a lasting impact on the identity of the church. With monumental temples and government support, Christianity began to attract followers from different social classes, establishing itself as a prestigious religion. Constantine recognized the potential of Christianity to strengthen the stability of the empire, and his alliance with the Christian church solidified this union. Gradually, Christianity established itself not only as a spiritual belief, but also as one of the pillars of Roman society, ready to shape the future of the empire. In 325 AD, Constantine convened the Council of Nicaea, marking a decisive step toward the unification of Christian doctrine and the consolidation of the Church as a cohesive institution. The emperor perceived that internal divisions within the Christian faith could weaken his influence in the empire, which is why he gathered bishops from all over the Roman world to establish a common foundation of beliefs. Among the most urgent issues was Arianism, a doctrine that questioned the divine nature of Jesus, threatening the unity of the Church. During the council, the bishops debated intensely and, under Constantine's supervision, sought a consensus that would serve as a guide for all Christians. The outcome was the Nicene Creed, a statement of faith that established the fundamental principles of Christianity and unified the Church around a common doctrine. For Constantine, this unification was essential to promote religious and political stability, consolidating the Church as an organized force that could sustain order in the empire. The Council of Nicaea was a milestone in the centralization and organization of the Church. With a clear and uniform doctrine, Christianity gained an institutional power that distinguished it from pagan religions. Constantine's presence as a mediator and supporter reinforced the alliance between the empire and the Christian faith, ensuring that the Church was promoted with the backing of the state. This doctrinal unification strengthened the Church and prepared Christianity to expand its influence in an increasingly organized and powerful manner within the empire. Over time, Christianity ceased to be a faith practiced in the shadows to become a prestigious religion, particularly appealing to the upper classes of Rome. As members of the aristocracy and influential figures converted, the Church gained reach and recognition within Roman society. Christianity, once associated with resistance and marginalization, now found its place among the nobility and political leaders, establishing itself as an essential part of Roman life. This transformation helped consolidate the Church's position in the empire and further expanded its influence. The patronage of the powerful increased the prestige of the Church, which began to play an important role in political decisions and other areas of public interest. As the Christian faith infiltrated the highest circles of Rome, Christianity began to be seen as a new pillar of the empire. Being Christian was no longer a matter of resistance, but became a symbol of status and shared social values among the Roman elite. This support from the powerful not only strengthened the Church but also helped shape the identity of the empire. This transition also brought significant changes in the practice and doctrine of the Church, which began to adapt some of its aspects to embrace the growing adherence of the elite. With the Church now solidly established, its role in society was expanding, interfering in the culture and norms of the empire. Christianity, thus, ceased being a simple belief and became an institution of authority, with a strong presence in public life and in the spheres of power in Rome. The future of the empire and the Church began to intertwine in an irreversible manner. In 380 AD, Emperor Theodosius I took a historic step by declaring Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. With the Edict of Thessalonica, Theodosius determined that all citizens should follow the Christian faith in its Nicene form, marking the end of polytheism as a tolerated practice in the empire. This decision consolidated Christianity as the new spiritual and political heart of Rome, and the Church became a central institution with direct influence over the culture and policies of the empire. Theodosius viewed Christianity as a force capable of unifying the various ethnicities and cultures within the vast empire, and used religion as a tool to reinforce stability and imperial identity. By placing Christianity at the center of his governance, he sought to promote a common identity among Romans, strengthening the empire in times of crisis. From that moment on, Christian hegemony expanded, and polytheism, once dominant, began to fade away slowly, paving the way for a new era. The reign of Theodosius was marked by a cultural and religious transformation that would shape the future of Europe. The alliance between imperial power and the Church consolidated Christianity as the moral and ethical foundation of the empire, and pagan religious practices began to be repressed. With the church now at the center of public life, Christianity began to profoundly influence laws, morals, and Roman customs. This decision by Theodosius would not only change Rome, but also leave a legacy that would span centuries, paving the way for the formation of medieval Europe. The Edict of Thessalonica, issued by Theodosius I in 380 AD, was a decisive milestone that transformed Nicene Christianity into the only faith officially recognized by the Roman Empire. This decree ended the tolerance of other religious branches and gave the Christian Church the status of guardian of religious truth, unifying the empire under a single creed. From that moment, Christianity consolidated as a central institution in the political and social structure of Rome, with authority directly supported by imperial power. With the Edict of Thessalonica, Christianity took on an inseparable role in state administration. The Church, strengthened by this new status, began to influence not only religious life but also the public sphere and imperial policies. The union between church and state established an unprecedented level of cooperation, where the Christian faith increasingly shaped the empire's guidelines. This new position allowed the church to establish itself as a regulating and moralizing force, directly interfering in the decisions that would shape the future of Roman society. This decree also had a profound impact on the religious diversity of Rome. Polytheism, which had been part of Roman culture for centuries, began to disappear, and temples and traditional practices were abandoned. The Edict of Thessalonica redefined the cultural identity of the empire, transforming Christianity into the new spiritual and ethical pillar of Rome. This moment not only changed the empire, but also laid the foundations for a future Christian Europe, where the church would assume a central role in politics and everyday life. With Christianity established as the religion of the empire, the ancient, pagan religions began to be systematically persecuted. Under Theodosius's leadership and that of his successors, temples were closed, rituals were prohibited, and ancestral cultural practices gradually disappeared. For many Romans, this transition represented the loss of a deep connection to their roots and traditions, a rupture that meant much more than merely adopting a new faith. The persecution of pagan cults reflected the state's desire to eliminate any remnants of polytheism and ensure Christian hegemony. Temples were destroyed or converted into churches, and traditional religious practices were penalized. This process of eradication, although painful for those who still worshipped the old gods, consolidated Christianity as the dominant religion. The impact of this change was so profound that Rome, an empire of spiritual diversity, transformed into a monotheistic society where the Christian faith was promoted in all aspects of public life. This cultural transition marked the beginning of an era where religious diversity was replaced by Christian uniformity. Christianity became an uncontested force, permeating both public and private spheres and influencing laws, customs, and social values. This process of extinguishing pagan religions shaped the spiritual identity of Rome, creating a religious foundation that not only transformed the empire, but also planted the seeds for the formation of a future Christian Europe. With Christianity consolidated as the official religion, the Church began to play an essential role in the administration of the empire. The alliance between the Church and the state was mutually beneficial. While the empire gained stability and cohesion, the Church strengthened its influence and expanded its reach. Bishops and ecclesiastical leaders began to assume administrative functions, acting as imperial advisors and helping to shape policies and guidelines that governed the lives of citizens. Faith and politics intertwined in unprecedented ways, becoming practically inseparable. The influence of the Church transcended religious matters, extending to justice, economy, and social organization. Under the patronage of the state, the Church began to interfere in various areas of public life, assuming a leadership and influential role. This integration strengthened the Church's position as an institution of power and simultaneously solidified Christianity as the new moral foundation of the empire. Thus, Christianity became a regulating force, defining ethical and moral standards that guided Roman society. The union between church and state directly impacted the legal system of Rome. Christian principles were incorporated into the legal system, altering the laws and morality of society. This fusion gave the Church a central position in Roman administration, and the Christian faith began to dictate the norms that regulated social and political behavior. Over time, this alliance would not only shape the empire but also establish the foundations for the lasting influence of the Church in post-Roman Europe, profoundly transforming the political and social landscape of the continent. The conversion of Rome to Christianity left a deep legacy that would resonate throughout medieval Europe. By becoming the official religion of the empire, Christianity began to mold institutions, values, and European culture for centuries. With Rome as the cradle of a new Christian order, the empire laid the groundwork for a continent unified under a common faith, creating a religious bond that would be essential to European identity and influence every aspect of life in the following centuries. Christianity brought a unifying worldview, connecting diverse cultures across Europe and promoting shared values that transcended regional borders. Churches, monasteries, and universities emerged as pillars of European life, influencing areas such as education, morality, and public ethics. Rome's conversion transformed Christianity into a stabilizing and inspiring force, shaping medieval institutions and consolidating faith as the foundation of society. By converting, Rome left a legacy for the West that would endure for generations. This legacy spread rapidly beyond the borders of the empire, influencing the culture and politics of Germanic tribes and other European populations. The Christianization of Europe created a common identity that facilitated alliances in the formation of Christian kingdoms. The influence of the Church permeated all spheres of life, and its power became undeniable. From Rome, Christianity expanded, ensuring its place as the foundation of medieval society and establishing the foundations for a Europe unified around a shared faith. The conversion of Rome to Christianity represented a monumental transformation, not only for the empire but for all of Western history. What began as a marginalized and persecuted faith became the foundation of an empire, shaping laws, values, and the very identity of Rome. By embracing Christianity, Rome paved the way for the emergence of medieval Europe, where the Church and political power would remain intrinsically linked for centuries. But what was the true impact of this conversion? To what extent did Christianity shape the destinies of future generations and influence Western culture and society? If you wish to continue exploring these questions and uncover the events that defined the course of history, subscribe to the channel and follow our upcoming videos. And don't forget to check out our latest content, which will appear for you shortly, to delve even deeper into the mysteries and intrigues of the past.